Hello friends, how are you? This is Dr. Sunil Kanal taking your 10th standard revision lectures along with Atal Seva Kendra and Anubhavi Foundation. Dear students, we are in the last lap of our revision of Science 1 2. As I told you, I am Dr. Sunil Kanal taking your things. I hope you are all fine and taking good care of yourself and also studying hard for your board exams. We are coming to a very important chapter now of Science 1, that is chapter 9, carbon compounds. A very important chapter, even if for those people who want to pursue their uh, science stream after the 10th standard. So, carbon compounds form a very basic study or pillar of the chemistry section. It is for marks 5 and with options it is 7 marks. Now, dear students, in the previous standards, we have seen that organic and inorganic compounds are the two important types of compounds which are there, and except materials fabricated from metal and glass, most of them can be divided into two, that is organic and inorganic compounds. Okay, several other food materials from foodstuff to fuels are made up of organic compounds. When I talk of organic compounds, their basic element or the essential element of the carbon compounds is organic compounds is carbon. About 200 years back, it was thought that organic compounds means from organisms, that is they can be obtained directly or indirectly from only living organism. They cannot be synthesized in the laboratory. But it was Friedrich Wöhler, a German scientist. For the first time, he synthesized the organic compound urea from the inorganic compounds, that is from the inorganic compound in the laboratory. Thus, it was now understood that organic compounds can be prepared in the laboratory also. Okay, that was an important thing. And the basic thing is all such organic compounds have carbon as a main constituent elements, and they are called as organic compounds. The compounds like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, carbides, salts, then carbonates, etc., they are exception to this because they are considered as inorganic compounds of carbon, because they can be obtained from mineral salts or they are attached to other metals and in their mineral forms. So now coming to very important thing, that is carbon. Now, carbon is a non-metal, and this carbon, generally the melting and boiling points of carbon compounds was found to be 300 degrees centigrade. From this, we understood that the intermolecular attractive forces are weak in carbon compounds. Okay, so they are lower than 300 degrees centigrade, and therefore it must not be ionic bond. As we have seen in metallurgy, the ionic bonds have a, or the ionic compounds have a high melting and boiling point. Here the melting and boiling point was less than 300 degrees Celsius. So we have also seen that in the previous standard on testing the electrical conductivity of carbon compounds like glucose and urea, we have found that they are not good conductors of electricity. So they are bad conductors. So from that, since they are bad conductors of electricity, we have understood the most important thing, that they have no ionic bonds, but they must be having chemical bonds, which is because of the sharing of electrons, and that is the main important thing, that is carbon compounds are having covalent bonds. So in the previous standard we have studied about relation between electronic configuration and valency of the elements, and about the ionic and covalent bond in 9th standard. So here we are going to see that in carbon compounds, especially the organic compounds, the bond between carbon and the other elements is a covalent bond where there is a sharing of electrons. Now, this was understood by the melting and boiling point. You can see for methane, melting point is minus 183 degrees Celsius and boiling is minus 162 degrees Celsius, and so on. For acetic acid, melting point is 17 degrees Celsius and boiling point is only 118 degrees Celsius. From all this, we come to know that carbon can form covalent bonds where there is sharing of electron pairs between the carbon and the other elements, especially non-metals with which it is combining. Now, if you see carbon, atomic number is 6, electronic configuration is 2, comma 4. Therefore, the valence electrons, what are valence electron? The number of electrons in the last shell or the valence shell are 4, and its valency is also 4. It is tetravalent in nature. Okay, and because of its tetravalency nature, either it can lose 4 or gain or share 4 electron to complete its octet state like the neon, or have a duplet state like helium by losing 4 electrons. Therefore, it can form very high number of compounds, and therefore carbon compounds or organic compounds are too large in number. So to attain the configuration of noble gas helium by losing one after another all the 4 valence electrons, in this method the net positive charge on the carbon atom goes on increasing during loss of every electron. Therefore, to lose the next electron, more energy is required, which makes it more difficult. So losing electrons is a problem. Moreover, the C4 plus cation would ultimately form in the process becomes unstable, and therefore it is not easily it is easy for carbon to lose electrons. Okay, instead, next is to attain the stable configuration of the noble gas neon by accepting one of or 1 to 1 like that 4 electrons. Again, it becomes very difficult to form an anion, that is C4 minus anion, which is very unstable, and accepting new electrons becomes a difficulty for them. Therefore, rather than losing 4 electrons or gaining 4 electrons, the most easiest method for carbon is to share 4 electrons of valence shell with 4 valence electrons of other atoms. In this method, two atoms share valence electron with each other, and since there is sharing of electrons, covalent bonds are formed. Thus, the chemical bond formed by sharing of two valence electron between two atoms is called as a covalent bond. Thus, thus carbon shows covalency. Very important, very important for you all, guys. This is a very important thing, covalent bonds, and because of that it can actually form so many innumerable compounds. Therefore, organic chemistry is very vast. Every day new compounds of carbon are being discovered, or they are being done, or they are trying to form in the laboratories and so on. So, how to represent a covalent bond? A covalent bond is represented clearly by drawing an electronic dot structure. Okay, suppose hydrogen to hydrogen, a single covalent bond is formed. Suppose each hydrogen atom has one electron in its valence shell, that is the first shell. Suppose they are sharing electron, either we can show by the dot structure where H dot H means one electron has been shared to form one pair of electrons. A single covalent bond has been formed when a one pair of electron is shared, that is one electron from each of the atom is shared to form a single overlap, then it is a single covalent bond. Similarly, suppose if oxygen atoms are combining with each other, each oxygen has 6 electrons in the outermost shell. They require 2 electrons to complete the octet state. Now, one electron of oxygen are shared in such a way, two electrons, because they require 2 electrons extra. So 2 electrons of this oxygen, 2 electrons of this oxygen are shared, so that total 2 pairs of electrons are shared. We will call this as a O double bond O, that is oxygen to oxygen double covalent bond is formed. But in the case of nitrogen, electronic configuration 2,5, it requires 3 electrons to complete its octet state. It will share 3 electrons with other nitrogen atom with 3 electrons. They will form 3 pairs of shared electron, and therefore an N triple bond N is formed, that is nitrogen has a triple covalent bond. The maximum covalency or covalent bonds formed between any two atoms of different elements or the same element can be only 3. Above 3 it is not possible because it becomes stay unstable, and because of overlapping, extra overlapping, they will get repulsion and they will immediately break, and the 4 covalent bonds or more than 4 covalent bonds cannot be formed. Only 3 is the maximum covalent bonds which can be formed. Dear students, now let's talk of carbon, which is a very versatile element. Versatile because you can see the properties of carbon. It's a unique element by itself, okay, a magical element I can call. Carbon is different from other elements. The number of compounds formed from carbon is extremely large, as I was telling you. Because it is forming covalent bonds, it can forms innumerable compounds, not only with other elements, but it can also combine with its own atoms. Except for the objects formed from metals and glass, soil, etc., all the other objects are made from carbon. In short, the entire living world is made from carbon. Our body is also made from carbon only. Millions of molecules ranging from the small and simple methane molecule to the extremely large biomolecule, that is DNA, are made up of carbon. The molecular mass of carbon compounds range from up to 10 raised to 12. That much is the molecular mass. This means that carbon atoms come together to form a large number of extremely big molecules too. Example here, how a methane molecule is formed. Now carbon, as I told you, it has 2 comma 4, it has 4 electrons in the outermost shell. When 4 hydrogen atoms approach it, they will share one electron with each of them, so that a single covalent bond is formed. And in this way you can see that C single bond H with single bond H here, single bond H, single bond here. So 4 single covalent bonds are formed, and CH4 molecule, that is methane, is ready. So now coming to characteristics of carbon. Carbon has a unique ability to form strong covalent bonds with other carbon atoms. This results in formation of very big molecules too. This property is called catenation property. That is, it can form strong covalent bond with other carbon atoms to form either open chains or closed rings. The carbon compound contains open chains or closed chains of carbon atoms. An open chain can be a straight or a branch chain. A closed chain is in the form of ring structure. Because of their covalency character, they can form very huge or big or large molecules. The covalent bond between 2 carbon atoms is strong, and thereby it is very stable. Due to the strong and stable covalent bonds, carbon is bestowed with the catenation power. Catenation means bonding with its own atom to form long chains or rings or closed ring chains of its own atoms. Okay. So you can see the molecular mass of carbon in different compounds. Example, in DNA, the molecular mass can be 10 raised to 12, and methane, it is just 16. It can be from 16 we can start, or simple atoms like that, to 10 raised to 12 molecular mass. So big is a variety of compounds which it can form. Now, 2 carbon atoms can be bonded together by 2 or 3 covalent bonds. They are single, double, and triple bonds. Due to the ability of carbon atoms to form multiple bonds as well as single bonds, the number of carbon compounds increases. For example, we'll talk of 3 examples. One is ethane, CH3-CH3. A single covalent bond is between carbon and hydrogen and carbon and carbon. Ethene, there is a carbon to carbon double bond and single covalent bond with hydrogen atoms. Ethyne, carbon to carbon triple bond, while one single bond each with hydrogen atom. Being tetravalent, one carbon atom can form bonds with 4 other atoms, carbon or any other. This results in formation of many compounds. These compounds possess different properties as per the number of atoms to which carbon is bonded. Example, 5 different compounds are formed using 1 carbon atom and 2 monovalent elements, hydrogen and chlorine. Example is methane, which is carbon with 4 hydrogen atom. This is methyl chloride or chloromethane, where carbon is attached to 3 hydrogen atoms by single bonds and 1 single bond with chlorine. CH2Cl2, that is dichloromethane or methylene dichloride, in which 1 carbon is attached to 2 hydrogen atoms by single covalent bonds and 2 chlorine atoms. okay, by single covalent bond. Then this is CHCl3 chloroform, which is a anesthetic agent too, or it was used earlier. Okay, CHCl3, one hydrogen carbon is attached to one hydrogen with single covalent bond and three other chlorine with single covalent bonds. And CCl for carbon tetrachloride, a very good organic solvent where carbon is attached only to four chlorine atoms, where it has replaced all the hydrogen atoms it had. Similarly, carbon atoms form covalent bond with atoms of elements like oxygen, nitrogen, halogen, etc. Therefore, they can form large number of carbon compounds. Carbon has one more characteristic property, is that it can it can show the property of isomerism. That is same molecular formula but different structural formula. Now let's talk of hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons, saturated and unsaturated carbon compounds, contain many elements. The element hydrogen is present to a smaller or larger extent with majority of carbon compounds. So compounds containing hydrogen and carbon, or carbon and hydrogen as the only two elements, are called hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons are the simplest organic compounds. The most simplest one is methane, CH4, formed by combination of one carbon and four hydrogen atom. Ethane is one more hydrocarbon. Molecular formula is C2H6. Now writing the structural formula for hydrocarbons, how they are written. The first step in writing the line structure or the dash structure of a hydrocarbon is to join the carbon atom in a molecule with single bonds. You can show like this. Suppose this is a structural formula of ethane, where it is molecular formula is C2H6, C-C, and three hydrogen are attached to each carbon atom, which you can show by single covalent bonds. While if it is an electronic dot structure, then you can show a pair of electron in between them to show the sharing of the electrons. While structure of ethane molecule, you can also show in this manner how they are sharing the electron with each other and completing their, the tetravalency of carbon is satisfied by this way. Similarly, in ethene, it is C double bond C, and with H2 means hydrogen, each carbon is attached to two hydrogen atoms by single covalent bond. You can see here two pair of electrons are shared here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So if you see, each carbon should have 8 electrons in as to complete the octet state. You can see here in ethene, you can see that is C triple bond C, that is three pair of electrons are shared to form the triple covalent bond and single covalent bond with the other hydrogen. This is the electronic dot structure of ethine. Sorry, not ethene, ethine. This was ethene and this is ethine. Okay, ethine, where this is an unsaturated hydrocarbon which has C to C triple bond. They are alkynes, where when the unsaturated hydrocarbon in which there is C to C double bond, they are called as alkenes. And when there is C to C single bond, that is all the carbon valency are satisfied by single bond, then it is alkanes. So in hydrocarbons, we can have saturated hydrocarbon, that is alkanes, where all the carbon valencies are satisfied by single covalent bonds, and that is carbon to carbon single bonds are only present. While the carbon compounds containing double bond or triple bond, they are called unsaturated hydrocarbons. In unsaturated hydrocarbon, there are two types, alkenes and alkynes. The alkenes are unsaturated hydrocarbons containing carbon to carbon double bond, example is ethene, and the unsaturated hydrocarbons whose structure have the carbon to carbon triple bond, covalent bond, they are called alkynes, example is ethine. So that is something about the how to write the electronic dot structure and the structural formula. We will continue further. So friends, further we can continue to see that whenever I am talking of the carbon atoms in chains or rings, we should know something about straight chain, branch chains and rings of the carbon atom. As I told you, carbon has a unique property of catenation. You can see now, if you see here in these structures, the carbon atom here is in a straight chain. All the carbon are linked in one line. But here, if you see, three carbons are in one line and one carbon is attached to it as a branch. So this I can see as, now these are four carbon atoms. These same molecular formula C4H10 butane, but I can see this is a straight line or a straight chain, that is N butane, normal chain or N butane, while here it is having three in carbon in one chain and one is a branch. Okay, so if I go for the name of this compound, it will be isobutane, or if I go for the IUPAC name, it is 2-methyl propane, because now three carbon are in one single chain. So from the structural formula, if we can see that the carbon atoms can be in one chain or a single chain, or it can be having branches, and together we can have different type of compounds with same molecular formula also. Now let's see the saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons. Now propane C3H8 is a straight chain hydrocarbon. Propene is having a C double bond C here, which you can see, and propyne is having C triple bond C, and here this carbon has no hydrogen left because all the valencies of carbon are satisfied by the other carbon atoms valencies. So here carbon to carbon triple bond, three valencies are satisfied with this carbon and one valency with this carbon. Therefore there is no place for hydrogen here. Now if I talk of isobutane, as I was telling you something about isobutane, three carbon are in one chain and the middle carbon has a branch, a methyl group attached to it. Then isobutylene, which is a alkene, we can see the compound here. Similarly, in cyclohexane C6H12, all the carbon are linked together in a six-member group or a ring, that is a hexane or hexagonal structure, and each carbon has attached with, or it is attached with two hydrogens, so that single covalent bonds are present. So this is cyclohexane. This is cyclopentane with 5 carbon in the ring in a pentagon like structure. So benzene, if I talk of benzene, benzene has alternate double and single bond between carbon atoms in a ring of 6 members or 6 carbon, and each carbon is attached to one more hydrogen atom. So formula is C6H6, that is benzene. You should know the structural and molecular formula for these compounds, very important. So now coming to functional groups in carbon atom. Now in carbon, when I talk of alkanes or if I talk of hydrocarbons, if I substitute one or more hydrogen atom with a atom or a group of atoms so that new compounds are formed, okay, then such compounds are called as that group of atoms are called functional group, and they impart or give new properties to the hydrocarbons, and such families are called as the functional group families. So many more types of carbon compounds are formed by formation of bonds of carbon with other elements such as halogens, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, etc. The atoms of these elements substitute one or more hydrogen atom in the hydrocarbon, and thereby the tetravalency of carbon is satisfied. The atom of the element which is substituting the hydrogen is referred to as a heteroatom. Sometimes this heteroatom may not be alone, like it may not be a halogen like thing, but it may be atom or a group of atoms together. And when the compound acquires, when they are attaching to the carbon atom instead of hydrogen or replacing hydrogen, they impart specific chemical properties due to this heteroatoms to the group. Okay, such compounds are called as the new compounds, which are derivatives of hydrocarbons or alkanes, and the atom or a group of atom which gets attached to the carbon atom, they are called as functional group. Okay, so here we can see different types of functional group. Example, halogen group or the halogen atom. So halo group it is called. It is given by the symbol dash X, where the valency is monovalent. Chlorine, bromine or iodine is the most preferred ones. In alcohol it is hydroxyl group OH. In aldehyde it is CH double bond O, CHO. Ketone it is CO. They are called as carbonyl carbons because C is attached to a oxygen atom and its valencies are free here. Two valencies here, one valency. In aldehyde, one valency because other is satisfied by hydrogen. Carboxylic groups COOH, which are acids, okay, carboxylic acids. Ether has only oxygen. A bivalent oxygen means two valencies. Ester is COO and amines are NH2 group. Now coming to homologous series. Okay, so now what are homologous series? You have seen that chains of different length are formed by joining the carbon atoms to each other. Moreover, you also know that a functional group can also take part in the chain formation. As a result of this, large number of compounds are formed having the same functional group but different length of carbon chains, which contain alcohol as a functional group. Though the length of the carbon chain in them is different, their chemical properties are very much similar due to presence of some functional group in them. Okay, now how they will be changing? When we talk of homologous series, they are the compounds with the same functional group or the same family but differing in the carbon chain, and such sequence of compounds are called as homologous series. Okay, and how do they differ? Let's see the homologous series of alkanes. Now let's see the first alkane, methane, CH4. Ethane is CH3, that is C2H6. Now how do they differ from each other? You can see here they differ by a CH2 group. Okay, so again if I see CH3, CH2, CH3, so that is C3H6, they again differ by CH2 group. Okay, so number of carbon atoms 1, 2, 3, number of CH2 units, you can see a CH2 unit has been added. In this way, they will differ from each other by one CH2 group, that is a methylene group, and the molecular masses will differ by 14 units, okay, that is Dalton units. So suppose methane has the molecular mass of 12 plus 4, 16. The next person, that is ethane, the next compound rather, ethane, will have C2H6, which is differing from methane by a CH2 group, and it will increase to what now it was molecular mass will be 16 plus 14, that is 30, and it goes on. Similarly, I can see methanol, ethanol, propanol in the same way. CH3OH, CH3, CH2OH, CH3, CH2, CH2OH is propanol, and so on. Similarly, ethene, propene, then we have one butene, one pentene. When we are talking in here, that is a double bond between the first and the second carbon atom only. We are just telling you something about the homologous series. So when I talk of the characteristics of homologous series, what would be the general formula of them? They will decide the general formula of the full family also. Example, alkanes, it is CnH2n plus 2. That is the general formula for alkanes. When I talk of alkenes, it is CnH2n, and when I talk of alkynes, it is CnH2n minus 2. And they differ from each other by one methylene group, but the properties are physical and chemical properties are almost similar. There will be only just gradation of properties. That is something about the homologous series. Now coming to the nomenclature system of carbon compounds. The nomenclature system is of two types: a common or the trivial system, which is from region wise or country wise they differ from each other, but otherwise the standardized names were given by the IUPAC system, okay, which is International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, chemistry body or organization which decided the names for all the compounds, the organic compounds, especially the carbon compounds. So we have seen that today millions of carbon compounds are known. Initially, when the number of known carbon compounds was small, scientists had different variety of ways to name them. Now these names are called common names. For example, the source of the name of the first four alkanes, namely methane, ethane, propane or butane, are different. The names of the alkane therefore are given from the number of carbon atom. Two isomeric compounds have a straight chain or a branch chain, then they are named accordingly by N butane example and isobutane depending upon uh, the branch present or not. But that was a very difficult method of naming. So we started with a IUPAC nomenclature system. So now what is this IUPAC nomenclature system? International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry put forth a nomenclature system based on the structure of compound, and it was accepted all over the world. There is a provision in the system for giving a unique name to all carbon compounds. So let us see how these names were given. IUPAC names are given by the following method. There are three units in an IUPAC system: a parent compound or a parent chain, which is a carbon chain. Then there can be a suffix or a prefix. Suffix, which is attached after the parent chain, whichever is the selected longest carbon chain, and prefix is attached before it. It can be a branch which is numbered accordingly, and suffix is generally the functional group, which is the main functional group in that compound. An IUPAC name is given to the compound on the basis of the name of the parent alkane. The name of the compound is constructed by attaching appropriate suffix and prefix to the name of the parent alkane. The steps are as follows. First is draw the structural formula of the concerned compound in a straight chain compound and count the number of carbon atom in a straight chain. The alkane with the same number of carbon atom, that is carbon atom in the parent alkane of the concerned compound, the name is given according to alkane. Then if it is a double bond or a triple bond, then we can change the name from ane, ane to ene or ine. Okay, example CH3, CH2, CH3 is straight chain, it is propane. But here if I can see propene, or here if I can see it's a triple bond, I will write it as propine. Now step 2 is, if the structural formula contains a functional group, replace the last letter E from the parent. So now if I have got here CH3 CH2OH, so it is from ethane. I will remove this E, I will put the hydroxyl ka OL, that is a suffix, so ethanol. Okay, suppose here it is Br CH2 CH3, so it is a bromo functional group, that is ethane, it is attached to the parent is ethane, but they come as prefix, so it will be bromoethane. It is a prefix plus parent. So you have to decide, it is according to some of the functional group like halogen, they are attached as a prefix, while most of the functional group attached behind, that is as a suffix. So name of the functional group halogen is always attached as a prefix, we should know that. Number of carbon atom in the carbon chain from one end of to the other, we have to number them, but the numbering should be such that the functional group should get the least number, and the number and the main parent should have a hyphen in between to show that the position of the locant, that is the branch or the functional group, is essential. In this way the name can be given. Example, now let's see here. If I select the longest chain, it is, if I start numbering, I will have to number from this side, because chlorine will get the least number from this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is pentane, and chlorine is attached on the second carbon, so it is 2-chloropentane, 2-chloropentane. Similarly, if I see here CH3 C double bond O CH2 CH2 CH3, here this is a ketone. So on the second carbon is the, or that is, it's a carbonyl carbon. So numbering from here, so it is pentane 2-one. Here E is removed, pentane -2-one from the ketone. In this way the IUPAC names are kept. So now coming to chemical properties of carbon compounds. First is combustion. Whenever a carbon compound or organic compound is burnt in air, it will liberate, that is carbon dioxide plus water plus heat and light, that is they are exothermic reactions. Example, carbon plus oxygen gives me carbon dioxide, methane plus oxygen gives me carbon dioxide plus water plus heat and light. It's a very good source of heat and light, therefore it is a very good fossil fuel or the fuel also. Ethanol will give me carbon dioxide plus water plus heat and light. We can see that and understand that they are exothermic reaction with lot of heat production. You have seen that carbon compounds start burning by combining easily with oxygen in the air when ignited in air. In this process of combustion of the chemical bonds of the molecule of carbon compound break and carbon dioxide and water are formed as the products. In other words, carbon compound is completely oxidized during combustion, a very important thing which you should know, and therefore they can be used as fuels. Chemical compounds, especially the alkanes are very good source. Example, methane, which is a part of the gobar gas also, or the biogas. Chemical compounds can also be used as a source of oxygen. Substances that can give oxygen for other substances are called as oxidants or oxidizing agent. Potassium permanganate or potassium dichromate are good oxidizing agent because they give nascent oxygen, okay, whenever they are reacting with carbon. Then addition reaction, unsaturated compounds, because they have carbon to carbon double or triple bond, they can react with hydrogen in the presence of nickel or platinum or palladium. Then they can add hydrogen to it to become saturated hydrocarbons. So they can undergo addition reaction. While addition reaction is not shown by alkanes, which are saturated hydrocarbon, they can undergo displacement reaction but no addition reaction or substitution reaction. So alkanes can undergo substitution reaction because carbon valencies are already satisfied by single covalent bond. So the hydrogen of them can be replaced, okay, by other atoms rather than breaking the bonds between carbon and carbon. So example, methane reacts with chlorine in the presence of diffused sunlight. It will form methyl chloride plus HCl. This methyl chloride further reacts with chlorine to form methylene dichloride plus HCl. Methylene dichloride reacts with chlorine to form CHCl3, very important compound, chloroform. CHCl3 is chloroform, which was a anesthetic reagent or an agent in the earlier days for medicine, plus HCl. It further reacts with chlorine. So you can see in all such reaction, chlorine is replacing hydrogen and it forms carbon tetrachloride plus HCl. If you have a bigger compounds, you can have a mixture of chlorohydrocarbons formed. So now coming to important carbon compounds, ethanol and ethanoic acid. Ethanol, that is C2H5OH. So ethanol and ethanoic acid are two important, commercially important carbon compounds. Let us study something about them. At room temperature, colorless ethanol is a liquid and its boiling point is 78 degrees Celsius. Generally, it is called as alcohol or spirit. It is soluble in water and in all proportions. When aqueous solution of ethanol is tested with litmus paper, it is found to be neutral. Consumption of small quantity of dilute ethanol shows its effect even though it is condemned, but it has shown that it will affect the nervous system very badly. So it is used socially on a widespread practice. Consumption of alcohol harms the health in a number of ways. It adversely affects the physiological process and the central nervous system. Even a small quantity of pure ethanol, that is called as absolute alcohol, can be dangerous or lethal. It can cause death. Ethanol being good solvent, it is used in medicine such as the tinctures or the cough syrups, etc. Iodine solution of iodine and ethanol, that is tincture iodine, then cough mixtures, etc. have, or many tonics have ethanol in them. Now let's talk of chemical properties of ethanol, which was C2H5OH or CH3CH2OH. You have learned about the oxidation reaction of ethanol in a previous unit, that we saw that ethanol reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide, water and carboxylic acid also. So it can also form carboxylic acid, which is an important reaction. Similarly, when it reacts with sodium, okay, it forms sodium methoxide and hydrogen gas is liberated. Then dehydration reaction, when ethanol is heated at a temperature of 170 degrees Celsius with excess amount of concentrated sulfuric acid, one molecule of water is removed and ethene is formed. Unsaturated hydrocarbon is formed. Then reaction with base, a reaction with strong bases like NaOH, and it gives neutralization reaction with a strong base sodium hydroxide to form salt and water. That is sodium acetate acid, that is this is the chemical properties of ethanoic acid I am talking of. So ethanoic acid or acetic acid, very important, we have ethanoic acid chemical properties. So whenever it is acidic in nature and whenever it reacts with strong bases like sodium hydroxide, it will form sodium acetate plus water, which is a salt and water. It is a neutralization reaction. Reaction of carbonates and bicarbonates. In this activity, ethanoic acid reacts with the basic salt, namely sodium carbonate, to form salt, that is sodium acetate plus water plus carbon dioxide. To see this reaction, the carbon dioxide is allowed to pass through to confirm that it is carbon dioxide through lime water, freshly prepared lime water. The carbon dioxide bubbles into it and the lime water turns milky. Then comes to esterification reaction. Substances having ester group as a functional group are formed by reaction between a carboxylic acid and an alcohol. So example, ethanoic acid reacts with ethanol in the presence of acid as a catalyst. It will form ethyl ethanoate plus water, which is this esters. This is called ester. Okay, esters have a sweet odor, a very fruity odor, rather we can say. Majority of fruits have that odor, which have the characteristic of them, especially the apple, etc. It is used for making fragrance and flavoring agents. Okay, so ester plus sodium hydroxide give me sodium carboxylate plus alcohol. This is a reaction shown by esters. So dear friends, this completes the chapter, a very important chapter for you all. Okay, very important from the 11-12 science stream purpose also. So let's see what is the difference between covalent compounds and ionic compounds. Some questions which are very very important. Covalent compounds have weak forces of attraction between their molecules, while ionic compound has strong forces of attraction, that is electrostatic forces of attraction. They do not form ions, they form ions. They have low melting and boiling point, while ionic compounds have a high melting and boiling point. Covalent compounds are having poor conductors of electricity and heat, while these are good conductors of heat and electricity in molten and aqueous solution. They are readily soluble in organic solvents like kerosene, petrol, etc., or carbon tetrachloride, while they are readily soluble in water and insoluble in such organic solvents. Similarly, saturated hydrocarbons and unsaturated hydrocarbons difference. Saturated hydrocarbons are the organic compounds in which carbon atoms are satisfied by single covalent bonds, while here in unsaturated they can have double or triple bond between carbon to carbon. On burning saturated hydrocarbon, it gives a clean blue flame, while they will give me a yellowish flame or a sooty odor or a sooty smoke. That is because of the carbon deposition. Unsaturated, they do not burn completely. Saturated hydrocarbons do not decolorize bromine or iodine solution, while unsaturated compounds will decolorize bromine and iodine solution, which is a confirmatory test for unsaturated hydrocarbons. Then saturated hydrocarbons undergo only the displacement reaction and they are very reactive, while unsaturated hydrocarbons are less, usually highly reactive. Saturated are less reactive, while these are highly reactive and they will undergo addition reaction easily. So that was something about the chapter. Dear friends, I hope you have been studying We have almost completed the Science 1 revisions also. Science 2 revisions have been already done. You have been revising those topics. You must be prepared, and I hope you will do very nicely and shine in your exams. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.